It is a very windy morning during the time of that we're recording this. So, you know what? I thought about that, and I'm kind of different. I kind of like. I'm kind of a more. I like the art form of video making, and that's why I love filmmaking so much and all that. So this is like my variation. My YouTube channel has always been kind of my artistic, if you will, and I use that term very loosely. Input, my ideas that come to video. Bringing it to life and presenting it to you guys, the audience, and everybody and ladies. I think that's what's interesting about it is because that's why I love different channels, and I watch so many different. One of them that I really like, I really watch a lot, is one called Hercules Candy. They're out of Syracuse, New York, and they do just candy videos and how to make candy and everything. Whoever is doing the film work and all that, they definitely have an artistic point of view. They definitely, I love the way they do it. I like a lot of things that are just raw, off the cuff, just like not rehearsed or scripted in a sense. I don't do that with my videos. I don't, every time we do these radio shows and everything, we really just start recording, and this is just what happens. We don't we don't really, we get a kind of a topic together, and that's it. I mean, other than that, we just go. But that's what I like. I like the art form of it, and so filming on this windy morning. During this time, with all the noise that's happening, you probably hear it rolling around. I actually hope it comes through on camera because that's kind of neat. It kind of adds some kind of atmosphere, I think. So that I decided to do that, to put it in there and add it in there anyway. So, all right. Anyway, we're gonna read the comments, and again, if we don't read it, it's either it didn't pop up in time or some reason it got pulled or whatnot. So, or it was just not family friendly for the show. Sometimes that happens, so all right, anyway, let's get started here. No particular order, of course. We'll have a nice warm coffee for the windy and cold morning, and that wind is really throwing stuff around outside. I don't know if it's going to be like this for the entire day, but all right. So, an angry ranger. Glad to see you're back home and happy. As to local shops, yes, there's 3 in town close to me, and I visited, and I visit and buy things from all 3. Yeah, I have definitely I think 3 or 4 that I go to constantly. One in particular, I've done some gunsmithing for, restoring some badly abused weapons they take in, and they credit my work on stuff I buy. Ooh, that's a really cool setup you got there. That's a nice trade. Plus, they watch out for single action armies and double action revolvers. Hey, we happen to have 2. We happen to have those flavors on the table for you, Angry Ranger. All right. Knowing that I'm hooked on either. Yes, same here. I always been a revolveraholic and always will be. And you know what? So we'll get to talking about that actually. All right. Slimfire 54, I also agree with supporting my local gun shop too. The manager at my local gun shop will always work with you to make a good deal on what you're purchasing, selling, or trading in. Nice conversion with the 22 caliber 1911 to JW. Thank you. I've actually been wanting to put one of those together for years. The guy that kind of mentored and taught me, he's getting on with age now. He had one just like that. He built it and put it together, and so that's kind of why I have mine, and thanks to him. And I actually named mine after him. I kind of named, kind of a hat tip for him because he really did. He taught me everything I know, and I just kind of just started to go my own path and do things. So that one's to my friend Frank back home. All right. And thank you for doing the Collectors Radio for all of us. I look forward to it every Saturday morning. Thanks, Slim. Oh, well, I appreciate that. Because you folks are a reason why we do it and we continue doing it. So, boy, that wind is I don't know if you can hear that, but it is clanging stuff around. All right. Danger Man, speaking of supporting your local shops, I have a great success story. I found my python. All right, he got a python. I had a day off before my vacation out of country and was checking Gun Broker and got frustrated at the prices. It can do that. I looked at a website for a gun shop about an hour away from where I live, and they had a 1974 blued 4-inch python in good shape and for a decent price. I checked my bank account and was, as luck would have it, my tax return had just been deposited. Off I went now, and now I have it. Finally, I found out from a guy at the counter that they just got it that day. Oh, wow. So if I would have waited more than that, likely it would have been gone, long gone. Yes, absolutely. I saved at least $500 with shipping. I watched Magnum Force when I returned to the U.S. to celebrate. That's a great film to celebrate with, absolutely. And congrats, Danger Man, for picking up your python. So, man, I've had a couple of them, 4 and 6 inch and blued. I got the what do I have in that? I still have the little 3-inch one that I've got. It's a nice gun. I like it. All right, Sean Lee. That's cool. 1911 you got there. Never knew there was 22 options out there. Good to know. Yeah. Those conversion slides are, if you already own a 1911, that's one way to do it. You just go and buy one of those slides. I honestly, I recommend the Kimber because I think the Kimber is really the best one that they did it right. The Wilson Combat one, which I've got one of those, it's not as, they're not available anymore. They don't make them anymore. And I don't know if it was Wilson that was making them or somebody made them for Wilson, but they're kind of pricey. But I think the Kimber is a better option out there, and plus that the magazines are plentiful and all that, and so you always got to look at that aspect of it. So, and of course, the Ace conversion units are just kind of ridiculous in price. All right. Stephen K., I always enjoy your content. I agree with you that you have to support the small mom and pop gun shops. I've never bought any firearm at a big box store. I knew the ammo and gun prices might be slightly higher at the small shops, but I prefer doing business at small shops. In my town in Connecticut, I believe, right? Is that where I'm just assuming, I think that's where that's CT. I could be wrong. I buy all my guns and ammo at Bob's Gun Exchange simply because I built a relationship with them, and they have always been fair and excellent service. Yeah, I in town here I go to a place called Murphy's because they their prices are always fair, and you know I've not sold them much things, but their prices are definitely really they're pretty spot on and being fair with you. I try to shop in every couple of weeks. I try to stop in. I'm sorry. I need glasses. Every couple of weeks and just say hi, pick up a box of ammo, check out the trade-ins. Yes, yeah. I'm always afraid to go because I'm going to end up with something or end up selling or trading something to get something new. So small firearm shops struggle as their margins are thin. ATF regulations are challenging. Yes, they are. I just actually was in a local shop yesterday and was talking about that. They have been challenged definitely by all that. You know, I understand that we need some sort of thing, but I mean it's just they're getting nailed for stuff that's really hard. I don't like the buying power of the store like Bass Pro. So we should try to do what we can to support absolutely. Those little shops and I actually I'll share the story with this because I bought that from the little shop, and we'll share that story here. Big Al, good video. That is a good point you made about nothing being around forever. Yeah, I mean, and back to that. is some, like, you know what, this is back what Frank had told me back home when I was buying up certain, and it wasn't that when I started buying collectible firearms, it wasn't necessarily because they were collectible. It was because that was my interest and my taste in the firearm. I just didn't, that was what I was interested in. I mean, because I was a kid that grew up watching Dirty Harry, French Connection, 7-Ups, those type of movies. And so my interests obviously were those firearms that I saw in those movies, and that's strictly it. So it just kind of happened that way. But my friend told me, he said a good point, and this is something I'll definitely, and I think I've said it before on the radio, you have to jump on that train at some point because they're not going to get cheaper. They're just going to get more expensive. So at some point, if you want one, you're going to have to literally and just do it. My buddy Cody, for those of you that go really far back with me on my daily vlogs and my other channel, you guys remember the hangout videos that I would do with my good buddy Cody that is a plumber back home. And I remember him telling me, man, Cody buys once and cries once. So I'll never forget him telling me that. But and back to your reading your comment, these deserve and need our support and protection. You are exactly right. Do whatever you can to do what fulfills and makes you happy. You do. You really do. Life is really short. My mom was just out here visiting with me. My mom's getting up there in numbers. My dad is almost 80. You just start thinking about it's crazy to think how much time has passed. Even my mom realized that. She's like, she was jokingly around with me. She said, and I said, I'm not. I said, I mean, you don't. I think she forgot how much time has gone by. So, all right. So Edward Petty, I like your Cobra grips. You are correct about reloading 3840 and 4440. The brass is very thin. I load those calibers, and you have to be careful not to damage the brass. Yep. A good set of dies for that is very important. The Scottish American, awesome show, brother. I myself am working on a 1911 project, buying parts here and there where I can. As someone who owns a set of your grips, wow, thank you. That's really cool. Thank you. I'm really glad you have a set. I can firmly say they are top-notch quality. Wow, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I did the grips because I like the old retro stuff that seems to not exist anymore, and you can't buy them. So, they're more for nostalgia. They're, so not so much maybe function, or they're probably not the best grippiest grip, but, as far as nostalgia, which is what I'm really into, I just wanted to at least share that with some of the people that I could during the short time that I was able to get them out there for everybody. So, all right, Bohemian Hunting Club, that two-tone does look good. Dig the mug. You like the Michael Myers mug? One of my best friends out here, he got it for me. All right, Jerry Johnson, number 2, the second very cool 1911 grips from the movie, the Cobra movie, yes. You're a lousy shot. I hate lousy shots. All right. Okay, so wow, I love when we can get together with the comments and read the comments. Reading the comments back for you guys and interacting with you guys is one of the big parts of the show. I really enjoy that part, and I'm sure you guys do too as well. So we have a couple of things that, I want to talk about some stuff, because we share products back and forth, and one of the ones that you guys shared with me was Renaissance Wax, and it's really cool. That's one of the things I really enjoy about the show that we do, is we get to discover products together that maybe I didn't know about, you knew about, or vice versa, whatever, and we get to share it here on the Collectors Radio, and then it gets a lot of us to try to check it out, try it, and kind of share the knowledge and share things with one another. And that's what it's about. It's sharing sharing this stuff, and so that's really cool. And I must say I'm really impressed with it. It really does do a nice job on shining this stuff up. And speaking of shining things up, one of the products that I've used for a long time, which many of you probably know, is a product called Shimmerchrome or Hapitch. This was one of those that Frank back home introduced me to years ago when I first started, was this stuff. And this stuff really can take a polished stainless steel like you'd never believe. Now, a word of caution, do not use this on your blued gun, because you can actually, this will remove bluing. If you go too much and too far, it'll actually take your bluing off. So I mostly use this stuff on stainless steel, brass, that kind of stuff. If you want to do it, I've done a high polish job on a stainless steel revolver way back. We did one, and this is what we did with, we did it up and basically took a plain Jane matte stainless steel firearm and made it look really nice, like a nice dolled up, high polished, chrome looking stainless. So, anyway, speaking of the mom and pop shops, this is one thing I wanted to talk about. This is my 3840, and we were going to actually get this thing back out today and go, but the weather is a little rough. This is the one I got in 3840. That mom and pop shop that I go to, they're the ones that actually turned me on to the 3840, and kind of intrigued me to buy it, and I ended up getting this, and it's been a lot of fun. Now, at first, when I first had it, I was having issues. I was having issues with the chambering, and something was going on with it. Now, because I bought it from them, they brought it in for me. Now, the old man that runs the shop with his wife, he's very, very knowledgeable in these things. And he took the chambers and he fixed them up for me. He hand reamed them and opened them up a little bit so that it was a little bit more, because they were a little tight. They were a little tight. And with 3840, if you're not familiar with the cartridge, it's a bottleneck cartridge. You can see how it looks. It's basically like a 4440 that's been necked down even further to a 401 diameter. So it definitely doesn't have much room for margarine there. And like we were talking, that loading it is very interesting because the wall of this, up here towards the bottleneck, it's very thin. You can collapse and crush these casings very easily. I found also one of the things that I really did not like with some of the other crimping dies was that I didn't like the chatter marks that they made, so I actually went and purchased a Redding tape, or I think it's a roll crimp, a Redding roll crimp die that costs quite a bit, but I was able to make that work. I'm a big fan of my loading equipment. As far as a lot of stuff that I used mostly, I'm a big fan of Lee. Lee products are inexpensive and they work, and I'm all about that. They save you in the wallet and their products work. I've been using Lee reloading dies forever, and I've got some sets that I've had for over 10 years, and they're still going. They're still cranking out rounds, and I still use them. So I'm a big Lee fan. I like their stuff. Now, I do have a Dillon 650 that's for it's a progressive loader, and when I'm doing stuff like, I think where that really shines is stuff like where if you're doing like 9mm or something like that, that really I really like that. I wish it was easier to caliber change those. I wish it was a little easier. It can be if you got, one of the biggest problems with those is if you're going from small primers to large primers. That's when you start to run into the little bit of the issue. But minus that, if you had it where you had like, now the ultimate I guess would be if you had a setup. This is what a buddy of mine referred to me, and of course it'd be nice if you had that kind of excess cash to throw on it. If you had two machines set up, one for large primer, one for small primer, and then you just had tool heads that you could switch out with your powder charge already set to whatever caliber it is. That would be the ultimate, because you could really crank out some rounds and be pretty efficient with it. Maybe one day I'll do that. I don't know. They're not getting any cheaper these days, but as far as speed, and I mean, you really shouldn't try to be going fast when you're reloading. But far as like saving a little bit of time, and the way it was referred to me was once you get into that rhythm, and you're able to carefully a nice even flow of punching out the rounds, then it's good. And one thing I like about the Dillon 650, and I think they don't even make that one anymore. I think it's 750 now. There's like mine has a powder drop thing that will detect if you have the right amount of powder. You have too much, too less, whatever powder in there. It'll let you know. It'll let you know if it has all these alarms. If you run out of primers, it'll let you know. So there's tricks that it has that will protect you, keep you from hurting yourself or hurting other people with your bad hand loads. So, all right. Anyway, so that's another real fun one. I like, and when it comes to stuff like that, like, shooting 38-40, and, and that's what it is. I mean, you hand load it, and that's what I do. And I've, of course, buying this stuff, factory, it would probably run you a pretty penny. That kind of theory goes to, for me, it stretches on over to things like 45 Colt. I've always loaded that stuff. 45 ACP. That's where the hand loading pays off for me. Being mostly a pistol shooter is in stuff like that. 44 Special. I have never bought a box of 44 Special ever from the store. I've never bought it. I've loaded everything I've ever had. Back when it was cheap and plentiful, I bought a whole a 500 box of 44 Special brass from Midway USA, and Starline brass, good stuff. I mean, I bought a whole box of that stuff. So that's where it really shines and it pays off when you're doing that kind of stuff, reloading wise. And so, speaking of 45 Colt, my buddy and I just yesterday we went out and we fired the old Smith Model 25 and 45 Colt. We went out there and shot this thing, and boy, I really forgot how much fun it is to shoot a Smith & Wesson big bore like that, especially a 45 Colt, big old end frame. Man, we had a lot of fun shooting that. We were shooting up these pop cans, and we set them all up there. Went out in the desert and just started banging away. Man, we had a hell of a time. We shot that. We shot the we got a hold of one of those Remington TAC 14s just for fun, just because it's such an interesting thing, and for me it's more of a novelty. But boy, we had a lot of fun shooting a little bit more of a higher, more just higher base rounds out of it, some a little bit more recoil, and boy, it knocks you some. It does, but we had a lot of fun. But yeah, shooting this thing was it just brought back more. Just like, man, that's just it was so much fun to load that up, and big shell, big brass, big bore stuff like that. And it's reason why, as far as the Smith & Wesson double action revolver lineup, my favorite is the Model 29. Absolutely, because it really, obviously, it starts with the movie. I mean, you gotta love the movie. The movie Dirty Harry. I mean, if that doesn't make you want a Model 29, I don't know what does. And it's been wanting to make people want one since the early 70s. So, and it's I think it's that movie launched that revolver into just a level that it couldn't. Of course, it's Inception with Elmer Keith, but I don't think anything could have launched that revolver higher than where it got without that movie. And as I owned it and own one and several, or a few of them, there's something fun about it. Loading 44 Special in the versatility. You can shoot magnums if you want. I think like myself, I shoot a lot more specials than anything, and hand loading that is a lot of fun. Big bore, big lead going down range. And how smooth it is, 6.5 inch barrel, or even a 4 or whatnot. If you've never experienced it, never owned one, you got to do it. You really do. And they're not getting any cheaper. And you know what? even the new classic model. Yeah, so just some people that's that maybe that's all that's available. They can't get an older vintage one, but I had older or classic models, and they're not bad at all. I mean, I like them. I mean, especially if you're just going out shooting them, why not? So but it's been a lot of fun. I mean, going out this week, and we had a lot of fun going out. We took some revolvers, we took some 1911s out just to go wildcat in the desert here and just shoot up stuff. And we had a riot, man. We had a great time. So anyway, appreciate everybody hanging out, and hopefully you have a good weekend. Enjoy your Saturday and Sunday. If you're off, if you're working, sorry, I guess, some of us do. That's okay. To me, actually, I never minded working weekends. I don't know. They were just always another day to me. But Saturday morning, we make it special for everybody. But something about sometimes I like going out just on a weekday night and going out to a nice dinner. And, there's always that, right? So it doesn't necessarily always have to be a weekend.